Hello everyone. I hope everyone is okay. Uh, my name is Gideon, as Ikshan just said, like on the introduction. I'm originally from Mozambique, but I've been living in South Africa on the last 3 years. Like working at Labster as a product designer, creating a tool which we're gonna be launching in a few weeks, like from now. But I'm not here to talk about Labster. I'm here to talk about something else, which is related to my topic and still related to design. So going straight to the point. So the idea from this talk came when I was traveling from Mozambique. Actually, not from South Africa to Mozambique. When I saw like a big billboard, like saying like it was a car advertising, and on advertising they had like an Italian brand. I was impressed by the billboard itself because I saw that they used Italy as a brand, as a country, like as a brand, as a brand that represents quality for a car. Like what I asked myself when I saw like the ad it was when we're gonna have like something like from Africa where we're gonna just say an African product and people will feel proud or people will associate with quality. So like when I was intrigued by that topic in particular, I started to starting to do my research. So especially like on my field, like which is design, trying to see what could I do to be able to create something that comes from Africa. So what I found out, like starting like doing some reading, so I realized that I've learned that this story of changing a country's image actually started. We have an example in Japan with Sony. So like the CEO of Sony, when he started to create Sony, when he decided to like make Sony to produce, like to create like physical products, like Japan in the beginning had a image of a country who couldn't like produce like high quality product. So the CEO of Sony had a mission not only of changing of the quality of the product that they created, but also they changed the image that people had of Japan. So if managed to make like his mission like successful. So like as we may know, like most of the products that coming from Japan now, like they associate with elegance. But that because one man said that he could do different. So if you go back in time, we could find the same thing in France. So like while countries like Spain and Portugal started to conquering other countries like England doing the same, trying to like colonizing like other countries. Like French, like the French people, they did know that they couldn't like compete on the same way because they didn't have the naval expertise as Spain and Portugal had. So they decided to build like a big industry in manufacturing. So they start to like collecting like everything that those countries were exploring, like when they did those colonization and crusades. So they started like building a big manufacturing sector. So they're creating like an industry. They could actually manufacture like high quality products. So that's why like brands like Louis Vuitton and other very luxury brands like coming from France because they on early stage they decide that what they could focus on that they could be great on it. Like the same happened with Italy. If you see like Lamborghini, Ferrari, you name it, any car with like that ends with ini is come from Italy. So Italy, it's the name of a luxury brand. But like for we have example like for like 5, 10 to 15 years ago. The same with Huawei. So Huawei, like sorry, actually it's not Huawei, is Xiaomi, like the brand from China. So most of us know that China is famous for producing not so quality products. So the CEO and the people behind Xiaomi had that in mind when they decided to create the Xiaomi brand. So they internationalized the brand, so they call Me now. So they had that in mind, like they would have to change people's perception in terms of like product that coming from China have could have the same quality as a product designing in America, like an iPhone. So they started with a different version of Android. They customized Android, so they created a custom Android system, and from there they moved like for to cell phones and like to know like mostly wearables that Huawei is producing, and they managed to add quality on those products. So they kind of changing the image that we had like of China now. So we know that China can actually produce like really high quality hardware. By the way, I'm not making any advertising or any endorsement, but actually I have one Mi Band here with me, like which is I use it because I believe that it's a really really good product. So I personally had problems with wearables because of battery, but on those Xiaomi managed to do like magic with this. So like after learning like all of this, after learning all of this from all of those countries, what I realized that what they have different is a decision that they've made, like someone that made a decision, which was basically we can change this. We just have to do like we put the effort that we need. So like I felt inspired by like from the Chinese, Japanese, Italian, and French. So like I thought like I could do something like for me and for my fellow designers, like trying to build like a brand like coming from Africa. So like the African designer. So like my personal dream now it's I wish in like in 3 or 5 years from now, like if we could find a designer, we could like be proud of calling ourselves African designers. So the thing is, we can't start from where we are because most of the people like the kind of the mindset is already set and it's hard to change. So what can we do like starting for a younger generation? So like and with this like why with the mission of trying to build this African designer as a brand. I kind of creating a code like trying to create Africa as the next destination hub for design talent sourcing. So this is the big dream. So how can we transform like us like Africa as a continent like trying to become a brand like when people want designers like we become reference number one. So like after doing my research on how like people who know manage to create like successful brands, I've started trying to like find solutions, like studying the problem deeply and finding solution around that. So realize that which is a reality most of us know because we are in the industry that there is a big gap like regarding like design professionals in Africa. What I mean design professionals, I mean people with like international standards, someone who could work at Google, at Facebook, at Microsoft on the same time could work in a local company. So the problem is we don't have a lot of those people. So how do we do that? So like what I thought is create kind of an initiative that would recruit, train, and outsourcing that design talent. So attention here, like I'm not talking about the designers from designers that already have experience. Like the idea is to find like a really good talent. So like as you guys may know, like Africa, like until now and probably on the next 30 years, it's gonna be like the continent with the biggest rate of people like unemployed, but in an age of employability. So like that solution comes like having that in mind. So like the idea here is try to focus actually on the opportunity that we have on the market. So that will be like recruit trying to find a really good talent and train them and then outsource that design talent. So on that way we'll be able to create a platform where people could collaborate like with international standards in content. So okay. So, like, what I had in mind in terms of how we could do that. So, the approach would be like focus on public needs. So myself, I've like about almost 7 years ago or 6 years ago, I finished my bachelor degrees in economics. Actually, I have a background in economics. So, but I've never worked as an economist. So, like from every stage of my career, I was always a designer. But work as a designer, like on my design background, I gained like with experience. Like I've never had like a formal education until like few years, like 2 years now. So like because I felt like I was imposter in the industry, I had to take like I felt that I had to take like a higher degree. So I did like a post graduation degree at Open Window in South Africa. But my realization, like, didn't have nothing to do with the school itself, but my realization was like, I didn't feel that the knowledge that I was gaining was like useful for the industry. So like I've tried to take all the pains that I had like on the last 2 years when was in class, trying to put in the program that I was designing. So like I felt that I was learning a lot theory, and because I really have experience like from the real world, I could tell that I couldn't literally use everything that I was learning there. So like so I start onboarding. I start like adding like few like of those problems on the solution that I was creating. So is the solution of recruiting, train, and outsourcing. That the training part should focus on the public needs, not only on the sector that we're gonna actually like employ those skills, but like on the needs of the designers also. Because sometimes you want to learn something specific because you think or you know like other things. So it's more like more not trying to shape everyone on the same way. So that would be the step number one. Uh, so the step number two will be the value of informal integration. So one like now because of the corona situation, a lot of schools are fighting with trying to become online. They are really struggling because they actually don't know how to do it. I know cases where schools have like 6 hours class, like street online. That's insane. Like asking someone to sit for 6 hours, like studying, that's not healthy. Like in any world. So like I feel that schools they're kind of trying to become online, but they don't know how to do it correctly. So like I give this analogy where I'm not sure if you guys know, but there is a story where like when people trying to find like faster horses, there were people who were trying to do like mechanical horses because they believe that mechanical horses will be the next frontiers of faster horses. But there are people who thought completely different. They actually create like cars. So this is the difference. So what happened with schools now? I believe they are trying to create mechanical horses, trying to make people like study like 6 hours straight, like in an online environment. But fortunately, we already have like solutions to solve those problems. We have a lot of like online schools like Coursera, Udemy, and the other really good providers of educational content that have really good quality content. So my idea was trying to educate people on platforms that already position themselves to be online. So they are not like mechanical horses; they are cars, on my perspective. So like trying to give people freedom to learn. And then one of the third biggest like block that I thought I would consider is the principle of dematerialization, because it's online, so you don't have boundaries like basically. So my only boundary is because like focus on Africa, because I would have to start in a place like maybe in the future we could open to people from other continents, but it's the materialization here with the limitation of the continent itself. So like these initiative will focus on Africa, but not on a specific country like per se. Okay, so because education is not a affair of telling and being told, is an active and constructive process. I'm coding this, as you can see here. Uh, like uh, like for these, I think like if we could merge the process of learning and doing would be great, because like if I ask any of you if you could like remember the definition of design that you've read in a book on a website, you're not gonna be able to tell me. But if I ask you the definition of design based on your experience, it's gonna be completely different. And trust me, each of you are gonna have a completely different answer for that. So like because I believe on that, like I will try to merge this program with a more practical component. So you don't learn. So you first actually is learning by doing. You're trying to merge like theory and practice. And like luckily now with remote tools and the new scenario that the world is living now, it's something completely doable. And what I think we could be I could be like having on these like portfolios of lessons that would be like problem solving and problem finding, which I believe that is essential skills, instead of like focusing on rhetoric and other like too theoretical stuff. We'll be like doing like teaching people with like practical skills, like teaching them design and critical thinking, which I believe it's really important for all designers. And like teaching like those designers to do interviews and empathy, teamwork and collaborations. I could bet that none of you had like this as a class at school, like a school, like a class that you could learn like collaboration. Like at least myself, I want to learn. Okay, you can do like school group works at school that teach you a bit of collaboration, but I don't think that skills is applicable like for the work environment like per se. So if we could learn to collaborate, to communicate properly, like before going to the workplace, we will be like completely different professionals. So I believe that if you could integrate that as part of the program, would be essential. And then there is prototyping and building. Like this is basic for almost our designers. And then communication, like being able to communicate like correctly. So communication, like I've done a set of interviews like with one of my program called World Class Designers, and one of the guys that I've interviewed was Farai, I believe. Like some of you may know Farai Mazima, like from Pixel. So, like one of the questions that I asked Farai was, what would you suggest, like your younger self, to focus on, like a skill to learn? And the Farai's answer was surprising for me. He said, like communication. He said, like one of the biggest struggles that designers have nowadays is the ability to communicate effectively. So, like I believe if you could teach people like to communicate effectively, like while they're learning, it would be like a skill that would have like a big value like for them in the future. So like because everything that we do like with intention to grow somehow become like political. I believe that if you could like make this thing happen, like trying to like inspire and train the next generation, we will be like creating and mostly being able to outsource. We'll be able to build like a growth like for each country that where those designs will be based, because like the outsource part is one of the most important part, because you have like the exchange rate difference. Like if you have a designer working from a company overseas, like you have the benefits of the exchange rate, so you will be able to like earn more. So if you as designer you manage to have a better salary, what's going to happen to you and the people that around you, they're going to have a better life. Example, if you have to pay a security card, you're going to be able to pay the security card better, and your security card is going to be able to pay his kids' schools. His kids is going to have a proper education. So it's a domino effect. So you start solving one problem, and then you have like a collateral effect, like a positive effect on everyone involved. And doing that you're gonna be able to build economic growth, because by the end of the day, like this is how you define economic growth. So I believe that investing in education, investing on the next generation will be able to like kind of change the future, like literally, because this is a like practical thing. So 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 yeah. So sorry, I got distracted with the message here. So yeah, we'll be able to build like a more sustainable communities that will be integrated. So that's it. I think I'm ready for the questions. I still have like 3 minutes to spare.
Awesome. Thank you so much for the talk, Gideon. Again, I see that the talk has allowed for some conversation in the chat. Just checking if there's any questions from anybody. I see Lars has been vocal. Maybe there's some questions from Lars. But any questions from anybody?
Okay. I'm trying to see questions here.
I don't see. It's the first time I see Lars. Lars not asking any questions. Okay, cool. Yeah, we don't have any questions. Thank you so much, Gideon. I think that I think if there are any questions in the future, or anybody does want to reach out, please touch base with Gideon. He's on Twitter and LinkedIn, and he's always posting. He's well, now that it's Corona and COVID, not as much, but when it wasn't, he was always posting his travel pictures as well. Um, so please, if anybody does have any questions, please reach out to him, connect with him. Um, so we've got our next speaker will be Paul. Oh, we've got one question there. 1 second. So I've got one question from Jani. What could be our unique differentiator as Africa, Gideon?
Like I believe so there is a book that Nassim Taleb wrote called Skin in the Game. So like basically the one thing that I've learned that on that book was theory comes from practices and not the other way around. So like if you learn the definition of design, of empathy, of design thinking, you're gonna see that it's come like, and assuming that theory comes from practice, you're going to see that maybe the definition of design is based on a specific context. If we teach people to think like using first principles, maybe we might come up with a different definition of design, or a different definition of design thinking, or a different way to express ourselves online, because our practice might bring a new theory. So I believe that if we invest more like in education, like not education on the fair of telling, but actually teaching people to think, we might come up with something original from Africa. If you take Tim Brown and bring him to Africa and ask him to rethink everything that they've been writing, probably you're going to have a completely different perspective. What if we do that ourselves, like trying to create our own Tim Brown? So that's, I believe, that would be the biggest value